Jake's life hadn't been kind to him, but if there was one thing he inherited from his mother, it was an unshakable will. At 16, he discovered poker, not as a game of chance, but as a strategy, a battle of the mind that sparked something in him. He spent years perfecting his craft, poring over books in the public library, sneaking into underground games in the next town to learn from players twice his senior, the kind who played as if their lives depended on it. Most nights, he lost miserably, but he never stopped coming back. By 25, Jake was no longer the town's quiet, forgotten boy. He was Willow Creek's rising underdog, someone the old men at the diner spoke about between sips of bitter coffee. But success didn't come without sacrifice. Jake's mother had fallen ill, her hospital bills stacking higher than he could keep up with, and the small winnings he made from local tournaments weren't enough. Each day he practiced, not just for himself, but for her, to lift her out of the life that had worn her down. Then came the tournament in Las Vegas, the World Championship. Jake had barely cobbled together the entry fee with his entire savings, a loan he couldn't afford, and the faith of a few friends back home who believed in a dream as fiercely as he did. The stakes couldn't have been higher. As he flew to Vegas, his mother's words rang in his ears. "You've already won, Jake, just by daring to try." But he didn't just want to try, he needed to win. Sitting at the grand table, surrounded by legends of the game, Jake felt exposed, like a small-town boy out of his league. The air was thick with tension. He had made it to the final hand, against Victor Klein, a poker prodigy notorious for crushing opponents without so much as a glance. Jake's heart thundered as the dealer turned the cards. He had a straight, strong, but not unbeatable. He glanced across the table. Victor's expression was a vault, unreadable. The pot was massive, numbers Jake had never seen in his life. Money that could save his mom, change their lives, and silence every doubter who ever dismissed him. For a moment, doubt crept in. What if Victor had an unbeatable hand? What if he'd risked everything just to lose? But then Jake remembered the years of struggle, those nights studying by the dim kitchen light, his mother's voice telling him he could rise above the life they were stuck in. He matched Victor's bet, every chip he had, and the room sucked in a collective breath. "Show your cards," the dealer said. Jake flipped his with shaky hands, a straight, strong. His heart pounded as Victor smiled, slow and deliberate, and revealed his hand, a high pair, far weaker than Jake's. The room erupted. Jake had won. But in that moment, it wasn't the roar of the crowd or the life-changing prize money that moved him. It was something deeper, the realization that he, Jake from Willow Creek, had rewritten his story. He had proven that circumstances don't have to define you, and that every small, painful step forward was worth it. It wasn't just his victory. It was a victory for anyone who had ever been told they couldn't. Jake didn't squander his winnings on extravagance like many might have expected. He paid off his mother's hospital bills, bought her a small, cozy house in Willow Creek, and invested most of the rest into a foundation to mentor kids who, like him, felt unseen and unheard. Jake's win wasn't just a triumph at the poker table. It was the start of a ripple effect, changing more lives than he'd ever imagined. Because Jake's story reminds us that life's greatest victories often come from our darkest moments. When the odds are stacked against you, dig deep, keep going, and trust that your resilience will carry you to places you never thought possible. So what's your hand?